Welcome to Comic and Screen. My name is Sam Otten, and with me is Jason Book. And in this video, we're going to be covering Batman #1. This is Batman in the Rebirth era, starting off with a new #1, a new ongoing series here. There was also the Batman Rebirth issue just a couple weeks ago that kind of set the stage, got us started here. But this is now the tried and true #1 with writer Tom King. And pencils by David Finch. We had some nice colors by Jordi Belair. And this is the start of a story arc called I Am Gotham. So, Jason, I'm just going to throw it right over to you. What was your reaction to this kind of new arc on Batman, new creative team?
I thought it was pretty cool. It, in a way, reminded me of a Batman movie. It was like kind of big budget, lots going on, intense, had good dialogue between some of the main characters that we've got to know and love over the years. And it threw us something new at the end, which, you know, could be really good, but it's definitely changing things up in the Batman universe. So we'll see how that goes. But I like the writing by Tom King, and it was nice to see David Finch getting his art in a better Batman book, because I thought his art was good in the Batman the Dark Knight book and things like that, but it wasn't the best writing. So this, I think, is a better fit for it, and it really shows off some of his skills.
Yeah, I thought his art just looked really solid, where as I'm going through the issue, I was just really soaked into the issue because the art was so good. It never pulled me out of it at all. It really had a good flow. It had good energy to it.
Yeah.
And all of, this, on one level, this issue basically threw us into the action right away. So we are going to have some spoilers here. So if you haven't read it yet, just be forewarned. But it basically throws us right away into this plane going down from the missiles that have been stolen. And then it's mainly us following this plane going down, and Batman has this kind of ticking clock to try to go. It is some nice writing and some nice art showing us how Batman gets up there and how he's working on the plane. And I thought that the physicality and the way that they placed it was all really well done, where I could always tell physically where things were going and how it was moving.
Yeah.
So that is a real credit to the art to be able to do that. The writing, I agree, was really good, where it did feel cinematic. And I was amazed that Tom King could basically start right away with this action and have the action of the plane carry us through the issue, but he also got in some character stuff. Like, through the earpiece with Alfred, we got a sense of Batman's relationship with Alfred. So if this was your first Batman book for a while, you could kind of see what their relationship was. And it showed Duke Thomas and how he kind of fits into it as well through the dialogue. So, and it showed how Batman loves the city and really takes it on himself to protect the city, even at his own risk. So those are some character things that Tom King fit in, even though it was basically a pure action issue.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, things like that. It kind of gives you a sense of what they might do with Duke. They're not just going to throw him in a Robin outfit and things like that. And I like the parts with Jim Gordon at the beginning, too, where they had that kind of, classic thing on top of the roof, and then he just has to jump off and jump into action. At first, I'm like, there's no way Batman can do this, but that was what was pretty cool about it, because as we said numerous times in our Batman videos, it's going to be really hard to top the Scott Snyder run, so why not start off with something really big and crazy and see if you can pull it off, and they really did so far.
Yeah, I was right with you, and that's what made it kind of a really fun read, was that I was kind of like, Batman's amazing, but I don't know how he can actually save this falling plane, which is normally a super family type of thing, right?
Exactly.
Like Supergirl or Superman is doing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was within the realm of comic book reality for him to do it. Obviously, no real person could actually launch themselves perfectly enough to get on the plane. Well, but it wasn't too crazy for a comic book. It was actually realistic in a comic book setting that he could get up there and plant those jets and then try to steer it from there.
Having the wealth of Bruce Wayne helps with all that kind of stuff too, right?
Yeah. But to me, as I was reading it, I was just kind of kept being impressed about how good of a first issue it is, because it sets up some major questions like, what's Batman's real capabilities? Are there things that are beyond his abilities when he's trying to protect Gotham City? And here he was cutting it pretty close to like something that he can actually handle.
Yeah, totally.
But it also pulled us in with this question of who shot the missiles, who was that guy that was like there with whoever it was that shot the land-to-air missile. And then this big question of, I Am Gotham and then Gotham Girl. Like, okay, should we trust them? Of course, like, having read a lot of comics before, my, like, possible villain siren is going off. Like, are these people starting out as heroes but going to end up being a villain or what?
Totally.
So it's this first issue where it sets the setting, it sets your major characters, it connects us to Batman, it gives us something very memorable. Like, have we ever seen Batman trying to save a plane like this before? Not that I remember.
No. Probably some trying to save someone out of a falling plane or something like that, but not something like this, yeah.
Yeah, not like him literally riding it down, you know. So something memorable like that, and then these questions that kind of carry us forward into it. I mean, so people have been raving about Tom King, and I don't think he disappointed here. I think he seems like he's rising to the challenge from what I can tell.
Yeah, it was really solid, and it reminds me of one of those things, kind of like they did with Superman years ago, that maybe they're setting up to show that these new characters think that Batman is obsolete and this, that, and you can just see how the story will probably come all the way around and be like, yeah, Batman is Batman because of, you know, what he does. It's not because he has superpowers and can fly and save a plane. So I'm feeling like it's going to go in that route, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes somewhere else as well.
Yeah. It could be the thing, too, where Batman is always skeptical or he's always checking and before he trusts anyone.
Yeah.
And so it could be this thing where the city maybe loves this Gotham and Gotham Girl, but Batman maybe has his kind of radar up and keeps an eye on him, and maybe that becomes important later.
Totally. I could see that, too.
So, yeah. So, and now I'm also then curious if Tom King is going to play it out in the sort of expected way, or if he has something different in mind. Because to me, the sort of expected way would be for 3 or 4 issues, Gotham and Gotham Girl are great, and they're doing all this stuff. And then in issue 5 and issue 6, you find out their dark secret, and then Batman has to come in and take them down. That would be like the kind of predictable thing. It could still be a good story, but it's a little bit of sort of what would be expected. And I wonder, Tom King might do a great job telling that story, but he also might have something different and might take us in a different direction that we don't expect.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering, continuity-wise, what are they going to do between all these Batman titles? Because it sounds like they're all completely different. I don't know if they'll necessarily reflect what's going on in the other books, so it looks like Batman's going to be pretty busy.
Yeah, it seems like All-Star Batman, which is starting up soon by Scott Snyder.
Yeah.
It seems like that one's maybe going on a road trip out of Gotham City.
Yeah.
So that might clear up a little bit of it, where Batman looks like he's definitely going to be happening in Gotham City.
Yeah,
So.
It's pretty cool so far. I like it's a different kind of ending to an issue than I expected for this first issue.
Yeah, and if people are interested and they enjoyed this Batman issue, you should also check out the Batman Rebirth issue from just a couple weeks ago, because that one helps set the stage for Duke and Batman and what their relationship is going to be. So I would definitely say that's a good kind of prelude to have for this series.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that issue a lot, too. It reminded me a lot of how you could kind of step it up from the movies again. It had that ridiculous scene where he was doing, like, chin-ups off the side of a helipad on top of Wayne Enterprises, and the parts with Duke were really good, and, you know, I just really enjoyed it as well. I like the art in it as well. It was a little bit different, and it was just kind of, the whole time I was reading that and this issue, I was like, Batman is reboot proof. He doesn't need anything different to be done for Rebirth, New 52, old school 70s Batman even. The character is just great the way it is, and you don't really need to change too much. You just kind of can throw different genres into it, and it usually sticks pretty well.
Yeah, and it's a nice time to get a new creative team in, but they don't need to try to reinvent the wheel or anything.
No.
They can just come in and tell a good story with what's already there.
That's right. Just tweak it a little bit, like adding things like these guys at the end of the issue, or Batman trying to save a crashing plane, and just that's enough to give it really kind of kick it up a notch.
Yep. But he's still very grounded in his setting with his kind of supporting cast, and we're ready for a new Batman story.
Yeah, exactly. I was pleasantly surprised with both issues. I enjoyed it.
Yep. Yeah, and I would say for people, you know, the Batman Rebirth is not essential to understand the story, but it might just give a little bit of more of a setting to launch into it. So, All right, cool. Well, we'll have to look for issue 2, and the nice thing is it's coming every 2 weeks, so we've got issue 2 right around the corner.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.